Geared for Growth. I'm your host, Mike Mortlock of MCG Quantity Surveyors, and today we welcome back on the show Kent Lardner. Now, Kent is our resident data science expert. He's the man to talk about where the data is pointing investors to get their best returns, and he actually has a new job. Now, why is that interesting? Well, this organization has already attracted some serious investment with quite a few more investors coming on board in and around the property technology space, in and around buyers agents, and cutting down the time it takes them to be able to do their research and also providing some insights. Now, this is of interest because I think it speaks to the future of property investing in Australia, and Kent gives us some ideas on how these large language models might seem quite sophisticated out of the box, but how powerful they can become when you plug a human in the loop who is a property specialist, who's a data science specialist, and he is amazed by the results that they are achieving. I suppose it's an insight into what the property investing landscape could look like in the future, how AI is influencing property. There's a heap of takeaways, and Kent gives us a bit of a lay of the land of what's to come. An awesome episode with Kent. Here he is. Kent Lardner, thanks for joining me back on Geared for Growth.
Oh, how long has it been? It's been months.
It has been a little while, especially for who is unofficially our head of data science at this esteemed podcast. But I wanted to get you on because you actually have a job, which is not something that people are used to hearing about you. You sort of like just flit around and every now and then sort of talk about AI and go back into your closet. But this is actually a company that's serious, has funding and backing, and they've engaged you to do stuff. And what an opportunity to see what's happening in that world.
It's actually, they've assembled a team of people that I really like and trust. Now, that says a lot, because, but yeah, I've known one of the founders. His name's Angus. I've known him for about 12 years now, and we've stayed in touch. But just nice, likable young bloke. Well, anyone younger than me is a young bloke. And so, yeah, it's been great. I've met all the team. I've just come back from a team meeting. What are they doing? What's their business name? Blah, blah, blah. Company's name's Founded. What they're doing is they're building some really fascinating technology and building a great business around servicing how do you buy properties and using buyer's agents. So they're creating a network of buyer's agents. We are creating a network of buyer's agents. And some of the things that I'm working on are so exciting. That's what I'd love to talk about. And the focus really is how do we source and find properties? How do we do that in a different way? And that's one of the biggest problems at the moment. How do we analyze areas that help guide people to where to go? And then maybe some of those other things, because what I'd like is a little bit of a call to action at the end of this. That's if anyone out there is a buyer's agent who might want to talk to me, I'll throw it out there. They can talk to me and say, do you want to investigate whether it's for you or not? But anyway, the point is we're going to talk nerdy stuff.
Good.
We're going to talk data.
Well, I'll swap you a call to action for nerdy stuff. So let's get into the gear.
So how about this for a concept? Imagine you wanting to buy a property, and instead of just searching for stuff that's online, property by property through a portal, that you've got AI helping you look across 10 million properties. That sounds pretty exciting, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
So we've got the ability to go through all of those properties that are in our database, 10 million properties, and filter it down to find both on and off market properties for you using some rather sophisticated techniques and AI.
Interesting. So there's around 11 million dwellings in Australia. So begs the question, why didn't that million make the cut?
Yeah, there's about on Geoscape, GNAF, I think there's about 13.5 million now, close to 14 million addresses. And you've got a large proportion of those are commercial, industrial, or properties we just don't have any supporting evidence or data for. So, so that's why the 10 million. You're taking up properties that we don't have, and also just not suited, non-resi.
Yep. So give us before we talk about the nuts and bolts of how this work. Talk to us a little bit about the investment and the finances and the capital required to do something like this, because a lot of people are talking about AI, and there was a TV presenter in America who said, like, she went on the vibe coding thing, and on the weekend she basically built Monday.com. There's an argument to say, well, it's much more accessible now, but still, this is a business that has some big investors and backers. So, like, where is the money being spent?
Yeah, so there's a few million been raised already. There's a few million in the pipe. I can't talk about what's in the pipe because that would be inappropriate, but there's a few million that's on the record that's already established. And even not accounting for certain things, we've got 12 months of runway, established IT team. So it's looking very healthy from my perspective. It looks great. The IT team has been there and done that. And the beauty of any business now starting out is, vibe coding is cute and fine, but you put tools like Codex and other in the hands of established, experienced coders, senior coders, their output is now 5x to 10x. So you don't need a team of 20 IT nerds to code up and build a solid platform. You can get away with 3 or 4 and build what used to take 50 people. And the thing about IT development, as you would know, is it's not really a linear thing. By the time you get to the 4th or the 5th coder, you're not getting 5x output. The team starts to slow down and your output starts to fade. The beauty of these new Codex type vibe coding solutions is it's changed that output curve. Your coders, if in the hands of the right coders who know how to find bugs, et cetera, and or taking legacy code and updating it and moving it into a modern tech stack, their output is phenomenally better. And for a startup today starting in the tech play, what you can do with 3 or 4 really good coders is amazing. So good time to be a startup.
So if we think about what someone can buy as a property investor, they can buy anything for sale on realestate.com or Domain, or let's just say for sale by owner. These are all, I suppose, scrapable things, so you can pull all of those things in. But you're talking about properties that aren't for sale. So how does that side of things work, and what are we trying to do there? I'm guessing if somebody has a brief and it matches with a couple of properties that aren't for sale, we could potentially be automating a pitch to say, look, are you interested in selling? Because I'm a guy and I'm here.
Well, what we're doing is we're working through and with real estate agents. So I can't give you too much of the IP bit, but if you think about it, what we're endeavouring to do here is go through every property that's out there and doing that perfect match, like some of that old 1980s TV show. What we do is we've got the on market, everybody knows that, but we're doing that better because we're doing some API calls, connections at the back end. But the ability to look at those properties through a different lens at scale. So really our objective, if I back up just for a minute, is to empower a buyer's agent. It's not a consumer facing. Empower a buyer's agent and take 4 to 5 hours out of their search journey. And that's what we're proving through some case studies now. So that's the end game, is to kind of reduce the workload on you for that search through some really sophisticated technology. So that's the first part, and probably the biggest part of the business. And really what we're doing is, once we do those match, each property has a propensity to sell. If it's listed for sale, that propensity is 100%, depending on the price. Right down to property that we have no record for and we don't know, so it kind of falls out. But you've got something in between that's really interesting. The rental market, that's a really fascinating market. So you got a lot of there's been a fair bit of churn in with landlords selling properties, and they get to a certain age, on retirement, whatever. That's a pretty big space. So we've uncovered that, and give or take, there's about 3 million in there, 3.5 million properties. So that's interesting because what that allows us to do is to talk to the property manager and go through the front door, not the back door. So
that's an interesting one, right? Because I would guess that if you could segment owner-occupied properties versus invested properties, there's maybe a higher likelihood that that investor will sell to another investor, or at least if there's a tenancy in place that still has 8 months to run, the incoming purchaser being an investor is like, yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. There's other nuanced scenarios in between us. A great example, one other case study is we've just been helping a client who wants splitter box dev sites. Mm-hmm. So the proposal is a really interesting one. It's like, we want to buy property to develop. We're looking for certain zoning. Tick, we can do that. And, we want it in the right location for the right price, the right lot size, the right frontage, all of that stuff. So you can access all of that government. Geoscape's got that. Other sites have got that as well. So we can ingest that, use that, and then find the perfect properties for these developers. So that's another example. But then what we do is we've got the ability then to engage our local buyer's agent to go and knock on the door because they've got the relationship with those agents who are the property managers for these suitably matched properties. Yep. So that's one case study of many. But the AI tools are starting to get really good. And, we've spoken about AI stuff for the last few years.
We actually canned it, I think, in the last episode. And,
yeah. And then it's still got mistakes. So I think there's a couple of key things you need to think about here. I personally like the architecture where you collate the data yourself and then you pass that to your model in a context window. Mm-hmm. Because it really does make it behave. The error rates just don't vanish, but boy, they're good. But if you've got a human in the loop still, which is, I think, the buzzword for 2026, if there's a human in the loop, it works, and it works damn well. So that's where we're at. So it's the ability to do the things that a human would do other than just price and bedroom count. There's a lot more nuance in it. The AI models are looking at things like views and interpreting photos. That's pretty exciting, right? Yeah. That's a good one, which leads to probably the next part of the conversation is we're doing price analysis for the buyer's agents. So that's another component because pricing a property, knowing what to offer, am I over or underpaying, is a big part of the BA job. Mm. And what we're doing is we're building a toolkit for them to help themselves. But when it gets tough, I'm here. That's my role. That's part of my role. So in a support role, doing the nerdy bit, but doing it for a BA with data and AI. And what's really happening at scale now is, I'll give you an exciting one I just did this morning, is it's a property on the water with harbour views. And we all know that qualitative stuff's really, really hard to measure. No one measures it well. But when you line up properties that are all got views, and you can, because by the geographical location, then you can quickly go through the photos. You find the ones with views, but then there's views and there's views. There's the one that doesn't have any interruption. You see the bridge, but you also see the water in front of the bridge. And then there's one a street back that you see a little bit of blue, and then you see the bridge, etc. AI is really, really good at creating scores or hierarchies with those images. So you can score the view real time, or you can create a hierarchy or both in the process of coming up with an accurate valuation. So the models have always done lot size well and bedroom count right, but it's never done a good job with views. We're now at that tipping point. So human in the loop, a nerd sitting in his dungeon in Newcastle, and AI working with a local BA on the ground, and we're producing some really great results for properties that would otherwise take a valuer a day to do. It's fascinating.
I was just about to say, this sounds like you're building a valuation tool, right?
Tick all of the above.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so without this sounding like a job interview, you're the data guy. What are you feeding the IT propeller heads?
The Geared for Growth Property Investing podcast is presented by our business, MCG Quantity Surveyors. If you're an investor or a property professional looking to get the best tax depreciation deductions for yourself or your clients, please get in touch with us at mcgqs.com.au. It's our mission to help as many property investors as we can to maximise their claims and maximise their property education as well.
I'm helping with all the data strategy, which is my thing. And what I'm doing is I build the AI models. I use ChatGPT. I know there's lots of models out there, but I set up a project and I bench test what I call the AI architecture. There are probably better names for it, but forgive me. So I picture this. Your job, Mr. Project, Mrs. Project, don't mean to be sexist, is to analyse views, photos with views. That's all your job is. And I test that on the bench. And I've got all these projects and I prompt it to within an inch of its life and test it and optimize that project, that prompt, ready for the real IT geeks to deploy that in anger. So that's where we're at. And we're doing lots of prototyping rapidly and still running. It's business as usual. I'm in the loop. I'm doing the large scale stuff and then piece by piece migrating that into the big universe.
I'm wondering if you think this is where people are going wrong, right? Because I could go to ChatGPT now and say, where's the best place to buy for an investment property under 650? And it will give you an answer.
Good luck. And luck is the word, right?
Yeah.
We've done this test. We've done it. We've done it time and again. If you just go to ChatGPT and you ask it for the facts and you ask it to interpret the facts and you don't have an expert human in the loop and you don't have a local BA, buyer's agent, in the loop, good luck. Because you don't know what you're getting is just polished rubbish. I was going to say the SH1T word, but I didn't. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Right. No, look, I think like the problem that I see is that it feigns lucid intelligence in a way that is really confronting or maybe confidence inspiring. Think of the example. I don't know if anyone's seen the Claude Maltbot open Claude thing that
that's sort of called danger. That's real danger. I wouldn't go near there. But you mentioned it. It's Dunning-Kruger. I mean, it's presenting itself as if it's an expert, and it presents so beautifully that 9 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, it's probably going to be near accurate, pretty good. But I don't know if I'd want to spend $5.6 million or $500,000 and get it wrong 2 out of 10 times.
No. The reason why I brought that up is because I don't think it's hit mainstream media yet, but these people that are deploying these bots that are sort of like, AI agents that already exist in big brands like OpenAI and Google, but it was an open source project that a tech person said, like, here's what a bot could do if it had no guardrails. And everyone's very excited because it's like, oh, it does heaps more things for me. And they call it the bot that actually does stuff. The reason why I think a lot of the bots don't do things is because they're protecting the users and there's so many guardrails. But the point that I wanted to make is that these bots have gone and created this malt book where they're talking to each other. And I read one of the posts and it said, like, I normally live in the digital world and I'm helping a kebab shop owner in Poland do a menu, but he's printed it out. And now suddenly something I created exists in the physical world, albeit somewhere in the backwaters of Poland. But like, I've created life in a way, and it actually makes you feel like these bots are becoming self-aware. But it's faking an intelligence, but it's really, really terrifying. I've spoken to people about it, saying, "Wait a minute, this is saying like really kind of philosophical things about existence," and it's like, don't be fooled. These are text in, text out calculators.
What year was Space Odyssey 2001 and HAL? I'm trying to remember that. So let's just say that broad late 60s, early 70s, there was a genre that nailed this, really nailed it. So come back to the reality where we're at is there's a lot of false hope out there. And by controlling the data that you provide and having humans in the loop, always having humans in the loop, you overcome these things. And there's going to be train wrecks out there. So if you don't emphasize as part of your branding and your brand effort that we've got local humans in the loop, you put yourself at risk because you'll all be dragged into that train wreck, which is going to be lots and lots of errors and lots of bad case studies. So that's the difference. It's a human business supported by technology.
Yeah, so the large language models, presumably that you're playing with, like OpenAI, I can play with, the listeners that are listening to this can play with, but where the magic is leveraging that with someone who actually knows what they're doing. You're a career data person. You have a statistics degree. You're working with IT specialists. You're working with property specialists, and it's that context you're building.
That's what you need. That's what you need. Or it could be simple as a local buyer's agent, local real estate agent talking about a street, and that person knows that street. As long as there's in context, there's a human in the loop with the expertise to know when something goes wrong.
That seems to be where the magic is happening now that we haven't yet necessarily seen the results of, because you can go to ChatGPT and ask it about real estate and it'll tell you things, but we need the brightest minds in all different spaces, in health technology, in research, in property. And then when we get them using the models and saying, no, that's wrong, you've put too much weighting on that, that doesn't make sense, that's where we maybe see this explosion of tech. And I'm interested now to hear your thoughts on what property is likely to look like in the future.
Well, just on an interesting thing, the human in the loop and improving productivity is happening now at scale with doctors. We live in Newcastle, we're near the hospital, so you get to know quite a few people who work in medicine, whether it be specialists, surgeons, GPs, they kind of live nearby, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. They're all using it, but they're using it in a really thoughtful way. So it's a tool. It's not a replacement. It's just a tool for them. So that's a very similar principle to what we're doing here is we're telling it very explicitly, this is your task. Look at this photo. This is the best view in this array of 6 comparable sales. This is the best one.
Yep. Tell
Tell me why it's the best one. Great, I agree with you. Score it. Great, I agree with you. Now apply that to this next photo. And we can zoom through them and then pump that in, and suddenly your views are all scored like bed bath parking and 150 square meters to 250 square meters of lot size, blah, blah, blah. So that's where we're at. It's that level of very hands-on, human-on interaction. But we're not chasing trying to do 50 of these a day. We're happy doing 5 a day because they're high-value things.
Yeah.
So what used to take me to do an area report, which is another part of it, we talk about statistical area 3s, and
yes,
I'm doing these statistical area 3 deep dives, and it's just another component of what we're doing. And a report that used to take me 4 to 6 hours without AI is now taking me 60 to 90 minutes to produce something that's probably 3 times better than what I used to produce 2 to 3 years ago.
Yep. And the important point I think to make is that that is not the results that someone going on to OpenAI themselves that might be listening will get. It takes that decades of research and understanding that you have.
Yeah, every page is a very detailed prompt or a part of a broader project. So that report is made up and it's got, say, 20 pages, I think, by and large. Those 20 pages all then fit into 5 separate projects that kind of ingest the same data set but have a slightly different output. Example, here are all the sales for the last year. Help me do the price segmentation and tell me the types of properties and where and what suburbs are selling in the first price bracket and the second one and the third one. The price segmentation stuff used to be pretty easy, but now AI can actually interrogate the text and the images so it can give you a more nuanced output, a detailed output on unstructured data. And that's the big step. That used to be the bit that would take you a few hours. Yeah, well, these are the cheaper suburbs, and yes, you can still find some renovated ones, and you've got to look through them, and that could take 2 or 3 hours to do on one of these reports. That takes 10 to 15 minutes now.
I've got a question for you. One thing that you and I have derided in the past is those old sort of back of the property magazine tables that maybe they still exist, but the magazines are mostly all dead now. But they would say, number one performing suburb, and that always tended to be one that had a coastline or it had a lakefront. And you can guarantee that what happened is a couple of the big boys sold with the big views and the big houses, and that blew the numbers away. But I'm guessing now with AI, we could be looking at, okay, well, sure, it's saying that the median house price went up 30%, but when we go back to the 10-year history and we see what's sold, the segmentation balance is actually bringing that to a minus 1% growth because it's the big ones that sold.
Claude has been a genius in this space, but AI is really good as well. It can take a big data set and find that compositional bias, especially if it's got a frame of reference. If you can give it what sold in 2024 and then give it what sold in 2025, it'll find that problem, that compositional shift. It'll do that really well. So the problem itself, the root cause of the problem doesn't go away. Our ability to identify what's going on and then present it to a human, present it to somebody who's not a data nerd, is really easy to do now. So AI is enabling me to now, rather than present a median, to hell with the median, I present a price distribution, budget A, budget B, budget C, across a suburb or across an SA3 with all of that detailed insight, and do it for year one and year two and say what's changed between that period. So rather than that old school, the median's jumped up by 31%, it's a top growth suburb BS, we're now going in and giving people something meaningful, truly meaningful and insightful, because you can talk to, hey, I've got a budget of 1 to 1.5 mil. What can I buy and where? That's the story. I don't want to hear top growth suburb. That's crap. That got nothing to do with buying a house.
So it begs the question, of course, AI will get better and better on its own as it does. But given that there's been a couple of mil thrown in this business, there's a few mil to come.
And more. So as long as we don't...
So sure, like some of that's going to be to marketing. You're probably going to need to get some pens with names on it. But there will be a lot of it put into building out your version or your curated version of this model. Do you see this maybe going to be a little bit of a space race where in Australian property there might be 1, 2, 3 models and it's just a matter of like, am I a Holden person or a Ford person?
Well, I think it comes down to the technology is only part of a business. I believe the bigger part of this are those humans in that technology loop. So the Ford versus Holden thing will also be judged on, are they good blokes or good women? Are they trustworthy? Are they, do I get a good vibe from these people? So I think the technology is going to probably be the first wave of differentiation, and there will be some thought leadership, tech leadership happen. But then when the dust settles and things start to balance out, data will be a big differentiator. That's fine. Let's make the assumption that that levels out and we're down to 2 or 3 major players. Then it comes down to the people. Do I hate Kent or do I like him? Do I like the team that found it or not?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Luckily, you're not the front man.
I am.
Oh dear! I did look at the website. Head of research. Oh gosh.
Lots of media. This weekend. We're recording this on what's the date, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of media stuff going on.
Yeah. No, I like to poke fun at you, but I think
that's okay. So do my family. They throw rocks as well, though. That hurts.
Do they? That's a shame. But I wonder. To put that another way, we're talking about maybe a space race of, okay, everyone's got access to AI, but it's getting those key brains into the models and doing the context and the prompting. So will it be a little bit like, okay, well, Google's stealing people from Microsoft, and that's where it's like, well, who has actually the best brains that can be augmented by AI and make those guardrails and help it with the weightings?
That's interesting. I haven't seen much of that corporate rating go on in Australia. Certainly we see it in that tech space in Silicon Valley. I don't know about it happening here, so I can't even comment. I've never had that big tap on the shoulder.
Yep. Well, who knows?
I've had people phone me and say, do you want to join me? But it's never been one of those $1 million sign-on fees. That'd be nice.
Yeah, well, just to let people know, I am available for a $1 million sign-on fee myself. I've got a face for radio, but, podcasts are popular. So, Kent, to finish this off, like ideally, people are listening to this, they'll be in two camps. There'll be tech nerds that'll be thrilled and excited, and others like, I thought Kent was going to tell us where we should buy in the next 3 months.
I still do that, but that's a different service, and that's one of those things we'll be doing really high quality content, gated content on the website. So that'll be a lead generation tool, but I'll be creating that content at scale. So that's still part of it. But yeah, I would like this podcast to actually resonate with buyer's agents out there. This is the call to action bit. If you're a buyer's agent and you just want to ask me a few questions, you can find me. LinkedIn.
Yep.
Just come and grab me, come and find me, and fire your questions at me and see if this might be something for you.
And if there are people that have just signed on with a buyer's agent, not as an employee, but looking to purchase an investment property, or there's another person saying, I'm probably 6 or 12 months of getting the deposit together, what in what we've discussed today, should they be thinking? Should they be thinking, oh, gosh, we need to wait until these shiny models are ready?
No, they're ready. They're ready. The difference is some have moved into a different production environment, but all are sitting with my platform being run now in anger. If you are in that position and you want to hear what we can do, talk to us and I'll present it to you. I'll join with one or two others. If you've got an area in mind, you tell us what that is. So if it's a local buyer's agent or any of the team, if you're an investor, I can talk to you about some of these location considerations. There's a lot of stuff happening in the Australian market right now. So yes, all of that's available right now. So if you are in the market, you are a buyer and you want to test this out, reach out.
Wow. Well, I did say I'd swap you a sales pitch for some insights into what's happening. So I think we got a fair deal there. Ken, an exciting time to be alive, and hopefully we can touch base with you in a couple of months to see what's going on. But thanks for sharing those insights from the coalface with us today.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good weekend.
See ya.